Also, I want to talk about my latest Layfield Report column, which went up a few days ago during the week. Decided to go ahead and make the case for a Brock Lesnar-Daniel Bryan match at WrestleMania 30. As unlikely as that may sound, it may not be as unlikely as you think. The seeds are already planted if they wanted to go in that direction. And it's weird because Bryan, and we'll talk about Bryan in a second here, he had a big week. Bryan is in the unique position of being able to wrestle almost anybody on the roster and have it make sense. There are so many match possibilities open for Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. It's unbelievable. You can conceivably put him in there with Brock, which I make the case for in the column on LayfieldReport.com. You could put him in there with John Cena and have the rematch between the two of them. Cena has already been on TV talking about how, if I get the title back, you get the first crack at it, you get a rematch. You could put Bryan in there with Triple H. I know that feud is kind of simmered down a little bit. They're going more in the direction of Punk and Triple H, but you could still do Bryan versus Triple H and have him finally get his revenge on the Authority. There's been rumors of maybe Bryan and The Undertaker, that The Undertaker had wanted to work with Bryan. That doesn't mean he will. The Undertaker has a lot of cachet backstage, but just because he says something doesn't mean it's going to happen. Undertaker went to Vince McMahon a few years ago when he and Shawn had their second match at WrestleMania, and they both wanted Jim Ross to call that match. Guess what? That didn't happen. But supposedly he has said he wants to work with Bryan, and I think that'd also be an awesome match. But you could put Bryan in there with Sheamus. That was another idea I pitched. If Sheamus is able to come back from shoulder surgery in time for WrestleMania, I would bring him back as a heel. And the person who put him out of action in that Money in the Bank match was Daniel Bryan. Now, it would be a step down for Bryan. I don't necessarily want to see that match at WrestleMania, but I'm just saying you could conceivably put the two of them in the ring together as well. Bryan and Shawn Michaels, it's not going to happen. I know some people are holding out hope. Shawn's not coming back. It'd be an awesome match, but it's not going to happen. But I like that you can put him in almost any situation and it would make sense, or it would be a fantastic match. But the match with Brock I really, really like. It's a total mismatch on paper if you look at it. Brock is this gigantic beast. Bryan is not. Bryan has a funny personality when he wants to. There ain't nothing funny about Brock Lesnar. And if you laugh at him, he'll pound you into the ground. But they're both really great wrestlers. Some people don't give Brock enough credit. They look at him as this part-time guy. Oh, he comes in, he wrestles twice a year, he makes $1 million. It's not fair. He's taking up a spot from somebody else. Same people who probably complained about The Rock being in the WrestleMania main event. I said it in the column. I wouldn't want those people running my wrestling school, let alone my wrestling company. These people don't understand the concept of good business. But Brock, back in the day, NCAA wrestler, went to WWE, had some awesome matches. He's a really good wrestler. And Bryan, we already know what he can do in the ring. So I think you put those two together, and Brock, for a guy as big as he is very agile. He will bump around for you. Sometimes, a lot of times he'll oversell it. Like when Big Show hurled him across the ring a few weeks ago, and there was a little bit, they kind of mistimed the spot, and Brock essentially hurled his own body halfway across the ring. You don't see too many guys of his size flying around the ring like that. That's part of what makes Brock so awesome and makes his matches so much fun. He can sell for you. He's not some big lug that's just going to stand there and not sell and take a beating and just turn around and beat other people up and not give something back. So as a match, I think it would be great. As a story, it makes sense. And a good chunk of the column is devoted to why it makes sense storyline-wise. Brock's already been on TV with Paul Heyman talking about, I want the next shot at the title. And Bryan, I don't know if Bryan's going to be in the Rumble or not. He's got the concussion now. Even without the concussion, I'm not sure that's the direction that they want to go in. But I will say this. I'll let you guys read the column if you want to, but I will say this. They started a story with Daniel Bryan over the summer that people got into. And I know the SummerSlam buy rate was not good. So maybe they didn't get into it as much as I did and some other people did. But from week to week, you hear the reaction for Bryan. He's selling merchandise. He's one of their top guys. The story they told was the Authority beat him down at every turn. And every time he was this close from getting one over on them and winning the title, they would snatch it away from him. And that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because they like Daniel Bryan. Or maybe they just like a story where in the end the good guy wins. I know the good guy doesn't always win in real life, but that's the story they were telling. And then they got away from that story a little bit. They put Bryan with the Wyatts. They had Big Show get a title shot. Then they went back to Cena and Orton. And Bryan was almost this forgotten guy in all this. They owe it to the fans to finish the story. Don't just leave it hanging. People are still into this guy, as evidenced by last Monday. In spite of him being knocked down a few pegs, they still buy him as a top guy. They love this guy. They want to see him succeed. They want to see him at some point win the championship back, for real this time, and have a real run of at least a couple of months instead of a day. So I think they owe it to the fans to finish the story that they started over the summer that felt like it would never end and really wasn't all that good because they gave you screw job after screw job after screw job, and you can only avoid giving the people what they want for so long before they just say, you know what, the hell with this. And it's not too late to finish the story. That's all I'm saying. And Brock is just the perfect antagonist for it. You know, David versus Goliath, big guy versus little guy. Bryan may be a small guy compared to Brock, but I don't think it's a case where they wouldn't buy him in the ring against Brock. I'm sure some people do feel that way. I felt that way about CM Punk when they were hyping up a CM Punk Brock Lesnar match. I didn't see it. I didn't see Punk in there with Brock. It didn't compute. And then they went out there and they had the match of the year. I was wrong. I know I'm not wrong about this, though. This match makes sense. So if you want to read more about that, go to layfieldreport.com. The column is up there. Leave some feedback. Let me know what you think. Is that a match that you would like to see? Can you buy Brock Lesnar one-on-one with Daniel Bryan? And can you buy it as a WrestleMania main event for the championship? Check this out, guys. For you, the listeners of the Sound Off, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial so that you can check out their service. And it's a quality service. I wouldn't be mentioning it on my show if it wasn't. They have a bunch of wrestling books to choose from in audio form, including Lex Luger's book, Dusty Rhodes' book, Hulk Hogan's book is available with narration from the Hulkster himself. There's even one that chronicles the rise of the late Junkyard Dog in Mid-South, which sounds really interesting. You can choose any one of those free by trying Audible.com. If you commute to work, or if you like listening to things other than music at the gym, I know a lot of people listen to this podcast that way. It seems to me an audiobook would absolutely make sense. To get one, make sure you go to audibletrial.com/Solomonster. It's another way to show your support for the Sound Off, and you get something free in return. Can't beat that. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Solomonster. Time for the